They wanna say they hate, but they know it's cap. I ain't play no games, I just do that's fact. And I don't feel no shame, it's a mood you lack. I go crazy, nah bitch I ain't lazy. Track after track, I work on the shit daily. Pass me the jack, right as fuel, got me hazy. About to unpack all these things I've been chasing. I've got visions in my head, like memories after death. To be a legend instead of something you can forget. I'm living up every breath, I'd rather lead than be led. I'll fill the seats as I spread, with every word that I've said. How's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel?
fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life.
I never miss, that's fact. Taking big swings, bitch, hand me the bat. Put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag. Cause I sing what I mean and I bring it to the mad light. Ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel. I took the red pill, I know life's short so I wanna live real. But how's it supposed to feel?
Good evening and welcome to the NECC, where tonight we lead off with an exciting Overwatch 2 Legends Division matchup between the University of Delaware Blue Hens and the University of Maryland Terps Esports. I'm Berkeley Stevens alongside Soav, and this is going to be a very fun game to watch. Neither of these teams actually have a map win yet. It's early on in the semester, so there's still plenty of time, but Soav, what are you expecting to see from these teams?
Well, I can safely say, Berkeley, that someone here is leaving with a W, and that is the easy answer, as we all know. But I think the thing that we're expecting to see is a little bit more of the really, because these games feel a little lopsided just based on what we saw. A lot of these wins and losses on both sides were 0-3. There's a forfeit, there's a bye. It's a little bit of a mixed bag. But I do think that those kinds of matchups just do tend to be a little bit lopsided. Sometimes you're in the division to hold up, but you just kind of get outplayed for one reason or another. Now that these two teams have kind of settled out a little bit here in week 4, I do expect to see a little bit more of a fair match. So I do expect this one to go a little bit more than just an 0-3. I think it should go closer to a 3-1 to maybe even all 5, just based on these teams and what they should bring into this.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams are hungry, right? So
yeah.
I would imagine we have more of a slugfest on our hands, even though both of these teams are coming in. Well, Delaware has one win. It was a forfeit win, so they don't have their official first map win yet. But I do expect it to be a slugfest as these teams try to make their way back into the middle of the pack in Legends East. But let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule, because we've got 3 games on the docket for the B stream today. We're going to be kicking things off here, obviously, with Delaware Academy and Terps Esports. Then at 8 p.m., we've got Cal Black taking on IWU, the Titans. And then rounding out the stream, we've got University of Arkansas taking on Montana Copper. And we'll be here for the first 2 games, and then I believe we're going to be handing off the reins for game 3. But so I'm talking a little bit about this game. We've got a pick ban system. Going to be headed into Ilios for map number 1. And I do believe that we know our starters, but let's just talk a little bit about Ilios here. Spicy patch just recently came out. So what are you looking forward to seeing on Ilios?
I think with this patch and now going to Ilios, when you're talking about this spicy patch, as you put it, came in, there's a lot of things that you could expect to do here, and Ilios covers a lot of those grounds. There are several of these submaps where you can run hard brawl, like Rhine Rush comps. There are several of those maps that you could even force a ball poke comp. So I do think that we're still finding our footing, and that could also be a part of both of these teams' regular season's standings right now, too. So I expect that, given that we've seen this patch for a little bit, we're going to see comps that are a little bit more kind of set. We kind of look like we know exactly what we want to do. And I still expect it to be a little bit up in the air, simply because with Ilios, there's not like any one dominant thing. You know, Ruins has sightlines. Lighthouse still has quite a bit of a condensed area. So I do expect to see quite a variety from both of these teams, really testing their limits of their comfort zones and their ability to play.
Yeah, it seems like the game is wide open now, so players can really go for a lot more comfort picks, not just this one fixated meta where you have to play these 5 heroes or you're tossing the game away. So that's always exciting when Overwatch is really a broad game where you have so many choices. And speaking of so many choices, let's go ahead and look at the lineups here, the players who are going to be kind of calculating those choices. And starting off here, we've got the Blue Hens of Delaware, we've got TVD Man, Rice Viz, Sully SW, Zunes, and Steph. And then over on the side of Terps Esports, Soav, why don't you rattle off that starting roster for us?
I will, but before I do that, I do want to say that this Delaware team is pretty mixed. A bit of a younger squad here, so I do say that this Delaware Esports team is looking like they've got some building to do. So even with this down, they are up against quite a bit of a wall in the Terps Esports of Maryland, though, because they've got some more older talent in their juniors and seniors lineups as they go. So let's jump over there and see who they're bringing, because I think we won't be too surprised. We see Mushi, Tony, Seep, Pumpkin, and I'm in the way of the third one. Excuse me. I'm in the way of that last one. That's my fault. And Paul. Good old Paul. We all know Paul. But like you can see, this is a little bit more of an older roster, the senior, the junior, a couple more sophomores. There's a lot more older talent. And this Maryland team, though I don't recall them being as notable for NECC, this is a team that's probably had a little bit more just pressure in their team. They've also had some tougher matches too, so this kind of an older roster could do something in the realm of leadership and carrying that forward, and I do kind of look to see, especially Paul, kind of in that position to do so.
Yeah, definitely an older team, definitely some more experience in college esports, but that is one of the nice things about esports is that you can compete at such a high level right in high school. You can play in the open division. A few high school teams around the country have a really good organized team, but for the most part, it's like free-ranged esports, but it's still at a very high level, even at a young age. So I don't love to just put a ton of weight that the team with the upperclassmen might just have an edge, but they definitely will go into this game. Maryland goes into this game with a lot more chemistry that they've built over 2, maybe even 3 years, some of these players.
Agree, and just that chemistry alone can be a difference maker, but it's never, like you said, that's never a given, but what is given is what will be brought out here. We are on well, so I don't expect to see anything in regards to like any insane picks. Ball is still incredibly viable if that's a thing you like or want to do. There is still a lot open, and we do see kind of what I was thinking we might see here. We see these May Ryan comps, and yeah, given the way that these go, this is a good comp. These are very isolative. They require a lot of teamwork, and they require a lot of the ability to play in that unit to keep that death ball alive. The question mark of the Cassidy versus the Sojourn is something I'm going to be a little more interested in. Sojourn does provide a little bit more space control just kind of with her kit as a general versus the kind of more just raw damage that Cassidy outputs. So really expecting the Terps to try to play a little bit of a slower game in this death ball.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how Zunes and Speed can both make the difference on their respective DPS heroes. But going right into this game, Tony throws up the first Maywall, kind of misses with it there, and right away, the Blue Hens try and respond by trapping the Terps in this little close corridor area. Tony has to go into the cryo freeze just to stay alive, and now Moose is battering Rice right against the wall, and another Maywall comes up from TVD, man. That one doesn't find any targets, but it does get the mortality field out from Paul. That's a big cooldown that the Terps are going to be missing here as they start to crash into the Blue Hens, trying to find a kill, and they do. They come up with 2, Steph and Rice Viz both dropping, and with the front line felled, Terps will sweep away the objective first.
That was kind of what I was expecting out of that side of the Terps, that little bit slower push, more calculated in their pressure. Now, that works for them, but the pressure is now on the other side of the pendulum as more of the ultimates have grown to the side of University of Delaware. Tony is the only one leading there, but that Ryan is isolated, and that's not a good place to start this off.
No, and already trapped on the other side of the Maywall, and the Terps capitalize once again. Paul setting up that Ant Matrix, and then Rice Viz just stood no chance. Way too much damage right in his face.
Even more importantly to that for the Terps, they won that with just one ultimate and an ability, so a great use of those abilities. They'll continue to play positionally out of the center where they just hold well. They have Blizzard and Shatter going into this. The ultimates are on their side to win this, and that's so big! Wow!
Oh my god, Rice Viz. Woof! That Fire Strike and Ant Matrix comboed so beautifully. That was just frame perfect. And the Blue Hens awarded with the objective for the first time. A little bit of stalling going on, but Terps, they did a pretty good job there, holding it for 48% before giving it up.
It's about halfway, and that's all you could ask for. It was also a quick wipe, so for the Terps' credit, they will come into this with about an even. It is worth noting that Steph is a little bit ahead in the sound barrier, so University of Delaware is looking pretty good to hold.
Moose does lay down the Shatter. It stuns 2 to the floor. They're only able to confirm the kill onto Zunes. Oh no! Moose goes into the pit. Steph up on the walls with the boop. Drops the beat as well. And now the Terps have to find a way to recover. Paul starts to bounce the team back, as does Tony. The damage dealers for the Terps starting to come alive here. And it looks like they might have done it. In the back line, they lace out the lead, and they've gotten the objective back.
Yeah, Terps had a great opportunity and took advantage of that, and they've been capitalizing on that for the majority of this game. They'll be rewarded with their own sound barrier still on up for this. That should be good here, but they just need to time it versus the Shatter to really keep themselves alive. They are in control here. This is theirs to maintain control.
And Zunes gets contested up on the high ground there, kicked off a little bit by Pumpkin, but now we've got the fight spilling out, again, near this gazebo, kind of toward the side of the objective. Tony's able to find Rice, Steep finds Sully, and this is going to be just a clean fight. The Blue Hens are going to have to wash their hands of this one. They've got one last look at capturing this point back.
The good thing for the Blue Hens there is that they did manage to move this and lose these fights pretty quickly. They'll have one more shot into this, so The tools they have are there, not incredibly the strongest of tools, but they have something. They just need to wear through these support ultimates and the Immortality Field first to really regain control here. They can't afford to slip up.
They made this Ant Matrix Fire Strike look so good the last time around. Can they get that same success this time? The Ant Matrix is up. They didn't find the Fire Strike right away, although Speep did go down, actually. Pardon that. TVD Man comes in with the kill on DePaul. Now there's no Baptiste or Sojourn on the side of Terps Esports. Zooms, though, in a little bit of trouble, dueling Tony, and Moose comes in to help out. Scorches Zunes with the Fire Strike, and it's still anyone's game. Tony goes into the pit as well. Steph has made some clutch plays, but it's not enough here as the Terps will take round one.
That will be quite an aggressive, several sacrifices into the well, so great positional awareness from the side of the Terps to take that submap, and I think that has been their greatest asset so far, has just been going how they've been using the map geometry and their positioning to their advantage. They're aware of what are their power positions to go onto this, and it looks like they are well trained for these maps of Ilios. No changes coming in really on either side. So now we're on Ruins, though. These longer sightlines, I would say, we do see the Ash come out. I would say it'd be a little of a crime to not use these fuller sightlines to the extent. The Ash, a little bit better. Again, a little more damage, a little bit more pressure control from a distance. So I do think that just given these two comps, the Terps have looked slightly better, but they are, no team is infallible here. So it's going to vie on positions, really.
Yeah, definitely not. Both of these teams still hungry for their very first map win of the season. I do love the Terps comp having the Sojourn there, but the Ash already giving Speep a little bit of trouble. Speep is able to retreat to some safety behind some natural cover for just a moment. And right now the Terps are just on the objective first, but the Blue Hens not afraid to just take their time, poke around, try and avoid this Maywall before it comes in, set up Speed for a pick. And if they can do that, just like they did on point one, they should find some good success. Rice flies across the objective. I have never seen a Reinhardt soar quite like that, but we do see the Blue Hens recovering. Sully does go down to Pumpkin, who closes right in on the back line, and now it is a 5 versus 4. The Terps have an advantage, but they quickly lose it. Both Baps completely out of this fight. And now how do we get this done with just Lucio? Someone's got to be the aggressor, and here it's Speep.
Speep looking very, very good to hit 2 and clean it up, and that is fight over, Berkeley. There will be a little bit more of a contest, but as far as it stands, the Terps won the war of attrition out of that. So just great awareness. They did manage to lose their Immortality Field first, but recovered from it, and that's kind of the name of the game here, is just forcing out those safety ults out of the Baptiste and the pressure out of the Lucio. Terps a little bit ahead in the economy. Moose just getting a little bit more value for their aggression. So I'm watching that Shatter thrown way early, gets nothing though. Wow.
I mean, that could just be fingers slipping off the W key right there, but Moose still trying to make a play out of it. It looked like the Blue Hens kind of bit. They know that the Terps were down a key resource, and they went into a fight that they weren't ready to take, and the Terps are still coming out on top here. Speep with the overclock from the heavens, and it finds a pair.
Wow. Yeah, that's a... sometimes we make happy accidents, and Bob Ross would be proud for that. The counterpoint is that the Terps continue to build their wealth of ultimates, sound barriers, and blizzards on both sides. Paul with the main ultimate. I'm keeping an eye on Rice here, though, because Rice has the Shatter that can set up a lot of these things, and I want to see that used and get some value.
Rice right now in some trouble. The HP is awfully low, but finally is able to retreat back to Sully, who has to burn the Immortality Field, but still keeps the main tank up. And now Rice does have that Shatter pretty much online, both damage dealing ults as well. Tony trying to trap Rice in before they can get the Shatter off. Steph has to drop the beat, and there's no resources left to keep Rice in this fight. And quickly, once again, the Blue Hen starts to fall, but Sully says not so fast. No Ant Matrix needed. Finds 2 kills. Both of the damage dealers on the side of the Terps have been taken care of, and now it's the supports really starting to come alive in this fight. The Terps have stabilized, but what a wonky fight so out. No damage dealers alive, and the supports got it done.
Yeah, support's still able to put out a lot of damage there, but now we're in last fight territory, and Terps again just continue to hold onto this. That sound barrier is the difference maker here. They are prepared for whatever it is. Seep moving over to the Widow also just to apply some late pressure. They are in a good spot to hold and win this out.
Well, it's getting down to the wire here. Terps sitting at 99%, almost sweeping this point away. They've got Rice to deal with on point. Rice is able to pin Tony, but again, it looks like this action is too little too late here on Ilios, and Terps, they have their first map win of the season. They go up in the series 1-0.
And a pretty convincing win at that, I would argue. They just looked very, very good on that. just considering this comp looks how practiced and that calculated, especially with Seep over on this Sojourn, really that was the main difference. The main difference in between these damage dealers, but very, very a calculated and played around character for them. So just very, very good looking team out of Maryland. Well-deserved first win, but that's still the first of many to come. They just need to keep this pressure up and keep that hunger alive, as it were.
Well, we'll see if they can continue it. We're going to hop to a quick break here as we just sort out a brief little tech issue, but we'll be right back with map number 2. Stick around.
They wanna say my name, but they holding back. They wanna say they hate, but they know it's cap. I ain't playing no games, I just do that's fact. And I don't feel no shame, it's a mood you lack. I go crazy, nah bitch I ain't lazy. Track after track, I work on the shit daily. Pass me the jack, right as fuel, got me hazy. About to unpack all these things I've been chasing. I've got visions in my head, like memories after death. To be a legend instead of something you can forget. I'm living up every breath, I'd rather lead than be led. I'll fill the seats as I spread with every word that I've said. How's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel?
All right, we're back briefly. Quick update for you. Due to some unforeseen technical difficulties that I don't think anyone's really experienced before, we've been live on the wrong channel, so we're going to hop over to the B stream NECC 2 on Twitch. So you can continue to watch this game there in just a couple minutes. We're going to wait to get people back in chat who are spectating so you don't miss a thing. But head over to NECC 2 to continue watching the rest of this Blue Hens versus Terps esports game, and we'll see you there.